The actual 7-inch 45 single. This is exciting. Now this makes you feel like you're really in the music business. Even though I missed the beginning. That's a bad start. I'm usually good at this. I would not be a good radio DJ. I guess they don't have to do this anymore, do they? There we go. It's Barenaked Ladies with Jane. This is actually a British 7-inch vinyl record, so that's why it just has the little spindle hole in the middle rather than the 45 cutout. When we used to tour in the UK a lot, I'd always, even in the mid to late 90s, buy a lot of vinyl because it was still kind of happening there after it had been phased out here. So it was very exciting to always, at least for a while, have vinyl copies of our singles. This song was actually co-written with an Englishman, and we wrote it with a guy named Stephen Duffy, who is one of my favorite songwriters. When I was 15, I bought his first record, which was under the name of Stephen Tintin Duffy. He was a singer-songwriter, but very pop in the kind of synth pop era. I had a big song called Kiss Me, and I bought that album in the summer of 1985 and listened to it over and over and over again. I knew every inch of it and wrote him a fan letter. And for some bizarre reason that neither of us can quite figure out, he wrote me back. And we became kind of pen pals, friends. And when I went to England when I was 19 to travel around, he let me stay with him and his band while they rehearsed. And then a few years later, Barenaked Ladies started to happen, and we did a show in New York City, and he showed up at that, and we went out for dinner, and we're fast friends once again. And he said, well, do you want to write some songs together? Which I always liken to imagine the girl of your dreams says, do you want to have sex? That's kind of what it was like, where I went, okay. So he came up to Toronto, where I was getting ready to get married, and he was staying there for 2 weeks. Well, he ended up staying for 6, and we wrote most of the Barenaked Ladies' second album, Maybe You Should Drive, including this song, which came from him having a crush on the girl at the health food store near my house, and didn't know her name. One day we were looking at a map of Toronto, and he saw the intersection of Jane and St. Clair, and he said, oh, it sounds like the most beautiful intersection in the world, which it's not. But from then on, she was Jane, as he would say, Jane Sinclair. So this is named after the girl who works at the store. Well, I'm sure she doesn't work there anymore, but she did in 1993. It was produced by Ben Mink, who was at that point writing really high because of the work he did with Katie Lang on her Ingenue album, which won Grammys and huge hits like Constant Craving and stuff. And but he's also an old prog rock musician, played with FM and Rush and so on. So really kind of a meeting of different worlds for us. And we packed up and went off to Vancouver, and it was a difficult time for our band making a record, but we came out with a record that I'm still really proud of, one of my favorites. And this single, it's certainly slicker and more adult sounding, for a bunch of 23-year-olds, more adult sounding than the previous one. But I think it's right up, it's exactly the record I wanted to make at the time, and I still enjoy hearing it.